So welcome everybody to term 3 and the first lecture for building law and regs. We've got a brand new lecturer helping us out tonight, and that's going to be Colin Stradom. Colin's a good friend of mine. He lives in Rockhampton, close to the university, so he's available for you guys. That's well, basically living in the region. Also, the same rules apply to Colin that I've enforced right through all the other lectures, or try to do, and that is to try and be accessible and everything. And Colin will go through exactly what he expects you guys to do. The main thing that you always have to remember with these courses is try and focus, and when you have questions, post it into the question and answer forum. And that gives us a place where we can respond to your questions. All right, so without further ado, Colin, welcome to CK University. This is your first course that you're going to present for us. Good luck. I'll be hanging around and just making sure everything goes according to plan. Yep, there we go. I'll mute myself, and the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you very much. Yep, as Josh said, I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm just don't hold it against me, I'm a practicing architect in Rockhampton, probably in the building and architectural industry for about 10 years now, and I've just recently started my own business. And here we are. So tonight will just really be really much an introduction into the course. We'll just briefly touch on each topic or week session. We'll have a quick brief look at the assignments and take a few questions when we get there. If you have any questions during tonight, just maybe post it in the chat room, as you're probably well aware how to use that. And oh yeah, so Josh just brought it up now. It's very important that you guys should know that the assignments or assessments would be made available on Friday, this Friday coming. We'll briefly touch on that tonight, and it will be up and for you guys to access on Friday, which will be hopefully quite fun, and we'll try and make law as enjoyable as we can. I don't want to really say much about the course learning outcomes. I think the main focuses are that we're going to just briefly touch on enforceable contracts and just what that means. And from there, we're going to look at what changes contracts, what causes variations, extensions of times, and so on. And then also, which sometimes happens, is a breach of contract. So we'll really look at really what happens after a breach of contract, and how do we resolve that. And the last, I think, 3 topics we look at we have a little bit of a very brief look at legislation, getting licensed or requirements for licensing, the Building Code of Australia, and really briefly touch on the Development Act and occupational health and safety. And that last point 5 is really just a summary of the whole course. It's really just basically revolved around building contracts and the application of building contracts. All right. What we'll do is we'll sort of set up a schedule for you guys to show you but in a bit easier, hopeful way each week what we'll try and achieve. This could slightly vary in the past, or in the future it could slightly vary, but you'll have plenty of notice if there's any change. So as we go through each schedule, I'll briefly touch on each topic quickly and just give you guys a slight background or idea of what we'll do. So topic 1 is sources and application of law, torts and contracts. Really much it's just a brief introduction to law, and Australian law especially, and where did it come from, and how does it apply to building contracts, really. We'll also look at some especially common law, which is very much sort of a law by example, and we'll really go through that. And we'll also touch on some aspects of legally enforceable agreements or enforceable contracts. So what that really means and what the effect that has on a building project, basically. Topic 2. Now, topic 1 and topic 2, we'll both look at that tomorrow, next week. Topic 2 is very much about just the basic introduction to different types of building contracts. I'm aware from the general discussions that some of you guys already posted on in the last week or two that we're dealing with people from various different backgrounds, different ages, and different industries. So some of you would know a lot about some contracts already, some would know nothing. So we'll just really work our way through them and see how we go. Mainly, we'll have a quick look at the traditional lump sum contracts, or fixed price contracts, as some would say. So from there on, we'll look at a bit of design and construct, or D&C as it's probably more known on the street, where the contractor provides the design and the building works to the client. We'll have a look at that. The other ones that we always quickly, briefly touch on, and I'm sure there's plenty more, would be construction management courses, or contracts, sorry, construction management contracts, cost plus contracts, where the actual cost of the project will be taken and a specific percentage is added as a sort of a profit to the contractor. And lastly, we'll have a look at housing contracts, which usually is a bit different from normal commercial contracts. For instance, in some cases, a addition to a house or renovation to a house where you'll have still the occupier living in the house. Before I go on, just seeing Carol, you saying about the topics 3 and 4 swapped. I'll just have a look and make sure on that. I'll just carry on. We'll have a look at it at some stage. Topic 3 is the consequences of breach of contract. Oh, you're right. Sorry, Carol, you're right. I'm having a look at my notes here, and you are right. Those two are swapped around. So for now, I will just quickly discuss topic 3, which I think actually is topic 4, but I'll sort it out and get it back to you guys. The study guide is the correct source to look at. So just stick to the study guide. So according to the study guide, topic 3 is the consequences of breach of contract. Oh, sorry, the role of the building contract. And the role of the building document, sorry, is basically we're looking at all the different sections and all the different parts that make up the building documents that basically becomes the contract. Dealing with the drawings firstly, which is fairly important. Remembering that the drawings form part of the contract, so whatever is on a drawing is fairly, it's also fairly important. It's not just something that you just write down or draw. It becomes fairly important. Specifications, which is really describing, it's usually a separate document from the drawings. It's usually a written documentation, and it's really specifying the quality and specific descriptions that the contractor will have to enforce when constructing the project. Another section that that's still part of the importance will be a bill of quantities. It's not always a part of a contract, but and it's not always the case, but it's usually set up by a quantity surveyor, and that's sort of just a basic setup of all the items from walls right through to toilet or plumbing fixtures, the value of it. It can either be the value of it, so it could be 4 toilets, and the contractor just has to provide a fee for each, and then that gets multiplied, or it could be a square meterage of walls, and so on and so on. Another important part of that is the contract conditions. Some conditions could be fairly straightforward, like no noise allowed on sites. Others could be, it all depends. And then you also end up with any other documents like geotechnical reports, which is soil testing, basically, asbestos reports, usually also forms part of that, especially if it's a renovation, and so on. So let's just, I'm on the PowerPoint, it's topic 3, but as I said, it's actually topic 4, is the consequences of the breach of contract. Now, consequences of the breach of contract, you can set up in two sections. The one is the consequences that was the cause of the owner or the proprietor, which mainly usually is either late payments, that the owner or proprietor is late in committing to its payments, or not giving enough information, or for instance not giving access to the specific site. So the owner not giving access to a site could delay the builder, and that could be a consequence of a breach of contract. The other side, the contractor itself could be responsible for breach of contract. Two main ones just to quickly touch on would be defects in works, and the contractor basically not handing over the project at practical completion, so delaying the end of the project. We have a quick move on. I'm not sure if there's anybody that really has any questions at the moment. Thanks. Just feel free to ask. Just go for it. I'm sure between myself and Josh we'll try and answer it as we go. All right. Topic 5 would be tendering procedures for building projects. So we'll just look at mainly the applications of tender procedures, withdrawals of an offer. So if the contractor makes an offer, just the fact that you can withdraw the offer at specific times if you felt like there was a discrepancy or you didn't pick up on all the items that you had to tender for. There is we'll also have a bit of a look at the pre-qualification of contractors, so that sorry, I'm just having a quick look at Josh's what he was said there. Try and throw in a few questions there. I think at the moment I'm just having a quick run through, but I'll try and see if there's any questions. Maybe a good question at the moment will be, how many of you have actually really been involved with, in the construction industry with tendering procedures? Maybe if you want to give just a bit of a tick there, a green tick, or a red cross if you've ever been involved with the physical aspects of tendering procedures. That's really getting a bit of a half and half. So some of you probably know quite a lot of it, and the other half probably has never been really involved with it. So we'll just try and be patient and work through it, and trying to sift everybody and get everybody up to the point where we can answer these and get through these assessments or assignments at the end. Good stuff. And just to end off topic 5, we'll have a bit of a look at ethical values. Like, for instance, when the tenders are handed in, and according to the tender documents, there was a time set up for 12 o'clock on the 5th of September. What happens if Joe contractors, who's down the road, runs a bit late and they only come through the door at 10 past 12? In those cases, ethical values starts playing a role. Okay. Again, as I said before, any questions, just shoot it through. We'll continue on, if there's no questions at the moment, with week 6, or topic 6, could be, which is subcontracting arrangements. Now, on subcontracting arrangements, it's basically the relationship or the between the builder or the contractor and its subcontractors. For instance, the contractor, and then also maybe the bricklayer or the joinery, the joiner, and so on. We'll also briefly touch on nominated subcontractors. If anybody give a bit of a green tick if they know what a nominated subcontractor is, or a red tick if they don't know, never heard of this word before, or yep. So again, we get a good idea that half of us knows a little bit about it, the others don't at all. But that's what we're here for. We'll go work through it and have a bit of a look at the nominated subcontractors. What it means, basically, briefly, that it's a specific contractor that or subcontractor that the owner or the client prefers, and with that usually comes your prime cost sum or provisional sums. So, for instance, let's take a quick brief example that the owner wants a specific pink bathtub in his new house, and there's only one contractor that can supply and install the specific pink bathtub. Not sure why I got to the pink, but anyway. And so as part of the documentation, and the owner or the superintendent, which could be the architect or building designer or whoever is responsible for that, could then specify that that specific subcontractor has to supply and install that pink bath. Week 7, or topic 7, will be about arbitration systems and options. Mainly when there's a dispute between the owner and the contractor during any stage of the project, and what will then have to happen to get that either resolved or just to clear it up, or sometimes it does not get cleared up. First, probably easiest option be in that case to negotiation. So the owner or the proprietor in that case maybe, and the contractor would just sit down and have a negotiation between the two of them and come up with an agreement where they can then move on. Next step is mediation, where a third party can be called in, and that could be anybody with a bit of knowledge about construction or and contracts. That is not binding. So whatever the outcome is, none of the two parties have to act on that. The third step, and as we go up with these steps, they usually get much more expensive, and they also become timely, and time at the end of the day is money. So the third one there was arbitration, which we'll have a bit of a look on, and the last one will be litigation, so basically going to court. I'm sure we'll all try and avoid going to court. You don't have to. Just a quick idea again from everybody with a bit of a green tick if you've ever been involved, or ever been involved in any way with arbitration or any of those, or mediation. Ever heard about it at all? So quite an idea of no. So yep, we'll just work through that, and hopefully we all will be know a lot more, which is great. Topic 8. By the way, not sure if you noticed some of these pictures on the side, but they are supposed to liven up the the whole course of contracts. So I'll just try my best. So topic 8 is regarding the role of Australian standards. Just a bit of an introduction to the Australian standards and how it develops and how it's actually started and governed. If there's any amendments to them, I mean, what was an Australian standard maybe 10 years ago would have, in most cases or some cases, would have changed by now. A good example is the disability standards. Now, the disability standards, which I myself and I'm sure some of you already deal with almost daily, and they almost change every year. Other things would be look at there is legislation. Great. Topic 9 will briefly touch on occupational health and safety law. So it's really not much just about providing safe working conditions, which I think my little picture is really stating out which you shouldn't do on sites or at home or anywhere else, especially if you have some toxic wastage lying around, as the fourth picture on the bottom right. Now, as I said before, there's 12 topics, so we're really getting quite quickly to the end of just having a brief discussion on these topics. Topic 10 would be statutory requirements for regulation of building works. It's mainly to do with the BCA, or the Building Code of Australia, which in a way most people in the construction industry, or especially for me, and I'm sure everybody would agree, or most would agree, that it's sort of the Bible for in the construction industry, that it's something you need to have right next to you every day. We'll have a good look at the Building Code of Australia, which is now part of the NCC series, which includes a few other important documents. We look at classes of building, the idea that each building or buildings sort of fall in different classes, like residential buildings fall in one class, schools, most school buildings or school facilities fall in a different type of class, same with restaurants, warehousing, covered areas, it just goes on, so that there's a bit of regulations and ways of constructing each different class of building. I ask everybody, if you don't mind, if you give us a bit of a green tick again if you've ever dealt with the Building Code of Australia, if you've ever seen it, ever had a bit of a read through it. It looks quite promising. Seems that this is going to be a good week or a good topic to discuss. It looks like everybody has quite a good idea of it, which is great. Topic 11 would deal with licensing requirements or registration in some parts, some professions. For instance, building certifiers or building designers that has to be licensed or registered. We'll have a bit of a look at that. And at the end of the day, it's very important just to know that it's always good to check your local state if you're not sure if a specific profession has to be licensed or registered, because they do differ in each state sometimes. The last topic would be planning regulations and application requirements. So having a bit of a look at private certifiers, and yes, that sort of would conclude the whole course. And if there's any need at the end, which is sort of stipulated as week 12. If there's any real need, we'll review a few any real discussions or topics that were set up before, especially for that last assessment, number 3. Great. Is there any questions at the moment? Is anybody that has any questions or any comments? No, that's good.
Hi, Colin. It's Joshua. There's just a quick question. What about guest lectures? Are you organizing any guest lectures for your schools? All right.
Yes. No. Of course. I don't think all of us know everything, so it's good to get people involved that have a bit more knowledge on specific items or sectors of this, especially this course. If we work ourselves, if we just go, I'll just quickly, I won't page back on the PowerPoint, but there's especially the last sections, Australian standards, workplace health and safety, the planning regulations. So those last few topics we'll hopefully get Daryl O'Brien involved. He's got a few roles. He's a permanent lecturer, if I'm correct, at the CTU. But he's if I'm correct, and I think Josh could step in here, but he's a qualified building surveyor, he's a
practicing surveyor, so he's got an open license for that. So he basically he's one of those guys that sleeps with the National Construction Code under the pillow, and sometimes it's on top of the pillow. So whenever he knows the page numbers.
There's no pillow. He just has the LBCA there, and his notes, of course. In saying that, at some stage, if we're lucky enough, or Josh would be able to give us a bit of a guest lecturing, more to do with subcontracting. Joshua has a bit more of a good background into contracts and different types of contracts. So if we can steal him away from his other obligations, we'll hear a bit from him. And at the moment, I think the other, and we're still trying to finalize this, trying to get somebody on arbitration, somebody that's got a fairly good knowledge on that. Just trying to finalize that. That at the end of the day, that we all get the best benefit out of this course. And some of these sections, we get the people that really deal with it every day. I'm sure as much as most of you guys would know, if you're in the building or construction industry, you don't physically deal every minute of every day with each subject, which is just why we all have different roles, and we all try and get to a coherent and a completed project. So yep. In saying that, we'll just see how it goes. It's great. So if we get back to the PowerPoint, which basically says assessments. Now, assessment assignments for the same thing. First assignment will have to be is due for the 25th of November, probably just before the end of the 25th, as you can see there. First one will really has 3 questions to it. As I said before, these would be made available by Friday. All 3 assessments will be made available by Friday, so you will have all 3 of them in front of you by Friday for the rest of the course. So getting back to the first assessment, pretty much 3 questions. Each one of them counts about 10%. So I just flick back one. First assessment will be comprised of 30% of this course mark. The second one will be 35, which is due on the 6th of January, and the third one will be also 35%, which is due the 3rd of February. Now, assessment 1 has 3 questions, assessment 2 has 2 questions, And assessment 3 has also 2 questions. So assessment 1 really deals or mainly touch on the first 3, mainly the first 3 topics. So question 1 will revolve around common law or the role of common law. The question, I'm not going to read the whole question out, you'll get it on Friday, but it mainly deals with a bit of the idea of a contract. What happens if there's no written contract, if it's just an oral contract, and then if there's a breach of contract. So a situation where you have a no written contract and then there's a breach at the same time. It just leads to the second question. Second question will be basic principles of contracts. Again, I'll just give you a brief few points. It's really much about stage completion. So the fact that one building project will have to sort of be completed in 2 different stages. The client or the proprietor wanted a specific section completed before the other. And then that specific question will also deal with delayed completion, when that specific project was not completed at the agreed time, and the applications or the implications of that. Just a bit of a red tick or a green tick if anybody has any questions at the moment, or if it's making sense and if it's very clear. What usually red ticks means negative, but I think at the moment that the red tick means good because it's, there's no questions. So we'll move on to question 3 of assessment A1, which is about the importance of contract documentation, which is, I can't stipulate enough the importance, because at the end of the day, whatever is on documentation or in the specification that goes out to the site, and that becomes basically the contract, and it all becomes, it's part of the contract. It's whatever's on that document, that is what the contractor originally would have priced for, and that's what he is intending to build. And it's very important to make sure that it all complies firstly, which is quite important, so that everything complies with the Australian standards, with the BCA or Building Code of Australia, as I said before. So you guys probably realise now some of these questions will just sort of tie back to our topics. So question 3 will sort of vary and look at and touch on variations. So when there's a specific extra requirement, sometimes from the proprietor, and also then latent conditions. So if, for instance, the documentation showed a specific ground condition or soil condition, and when the contractor is actually on site, after starting his excavation, he realizes it's not very good or soil conditions, and that is usually that will usually fall under a latent condition, something that couldn't be planned for. That's probably the best way of stating it. All right. I see what you're saying. That is quite interesting. Sorry, guys, I'm just picking up at the bottom footnote says 13042, which is wrong. As we go back to a few previous ones, it's actually 11039. I apologize. I'm not sure how some of them changed, some didn't.
It's an easy explanation, Colin. It's the template that I sent you, so it's just that's just the template from the course that I present this term, so that's the only reason why.
Sorry, I think I also, because I actually added these assessment notes 2 minutes before we started tonight, so I apologize for that. These assessment notes weren't part of the original PowerPoint presentation. I just added them 5 minutes before, so that happens. Sorry. Anyway, we're still on 11039, so we'll stay there and work back onto assessment A2, which is due on the 6th of January. 2 questions. First question will mainly deal with breach and arbitration. In breach and arbitration, we'll look at, we'll slightly touch on progress certificates when and not paying progress certificates. So whenever the contractor provides a progress certificate, or to the proprietor, and the proprietor for some reason do not pay when it's due, what happens in those cases. And then sometimes that could lead to the contractor actually stopping work or basically walking off from site. That will also be touched on, or will also be dealt with in this question. And the last one there would be arbitration. So, for instance, this progress certificate wasn't paid, the contractor stopped work, and between the contractor and the certifier, they couldn't sort it out, or they couldn't negotiate an agreement. So would possibly lead to arbitration. So that's sort of ties all those together. The second question would be regarding the principles of tendering and subcontractors. So we'll touch on subcontractors. So that's basically then in easy example, when you have a main contractor on site and you have these subcontractors, which would be the bricklayer or the joiner, or the and so on. Well, that will also touch on nominated subcontractors, as we sort of touched on before, and also tenders. So yep, so we'll go on from there. Again, just if anybody had any, questions that all make sort of sense. I'm sure as soon as you get all these sessions on Friday, you can have a good look at it, and we can probably then have a better look at any questions you have, or start having a look at some of those questions next week. Assessment 3, or A3, is meant for the 3rd of February next year. Mainly 2 questions. First one will deal with Australian standards, occupational health and safety, and I'm not really going to say much more about it. It'll be just very much straightforward principles about, also probably will touch a little bit on legislation, but it will be fairly much straightforward in those cases. Second question will we'll look at the Building Code of Australia, and basically we'll have a real-life scenario. Just from my memory, what we've set up, it's an existing warehouse which has to be refurbed into a fitness center. So one of the questions would be, and it will sort of describe the work involved, which is fairly minor, and then the question is, do you need a building approval, for instance, for that specific scenario? From there, it will lead to a situation where, when you as a superintendent you're on site and you realize in the early stages that the furthest point in this building is 40 meters away from the only exit. So from there, they will then sort of ask you in the assessment to really have a good look at the building code and see, is 40 meters all right? Isn't it as good? Is it not? What do you have to do about it if it's not, if it doesn't comply? And lastly, we'll deal with the idea of building new, in this specific case, new columns about 2 meters away from the boundary line. And again, you'll really you just have to jump back into the BCA and state if that is possible or not, and if it is, what you have to do, what is the requirements or implications of that. Yep. Maybe again, if I ask a quick question, anybody, if you just give us a green tick, if you are currently in some way or form in the building industry, and a red tick if you're not at all and you just really, if you really want to get to that. So, yep, so that's a good idea. So most of us in some way or form are a part of it, and I'm sure the rest of us would want to be in the future. I imagine that's why we're doing this course and this whole, which is great. Going from there, the prescribed textbook, and again I saw there were some comments on the general discussion regarding this. Now I know there's a few different places how to actually get this prescribed textbook, and I think at the moment, if you really have any questions on that, or just really first have a look at the general discussions, a few people have already commented on that, and if you really get stuck and you really struggle, send us a message or an email on that. Great stuff. Yep, I'm not going to say too much about myself. As I said before, I'm just, if you haven't picked it up by now, I'm originally from South Africa. I've done work in various places. I have always been in small companies, which some of you guys are probably in some way or form in big companies, so I'm sure that will be different again for you. But I think that at the end of the day, contracts overall are always the same, and it's the same principles. I'm currently very privileged to do work in Australia and in Vanuatu, from very art renovations for friends down the road, right up to sort of a resort in Vanuatu. So I'm fairly much privileged, and because of me being always in small companies, and I've pretty much had to deal with a lot of different industries over the years, right through from residential to industrial, and it does give you a bit of an idea on everything. So just to highlight again what I think Josh has said before, as you see below, my email address, and I probably could have added Joshua's email address too there. If you have any urgent queries, you can either send us an email or myself, and if I can't solve it, I'll get somebody else that could solve it. If it's really, really urgent, you can call me or send me a text. But if it's really much just general, and you think it's really much just about general topics or about anything about the course, best is to put it on the discussions post. And the main reason for that is that maybe there's another 2 or 3 people with the same questions. So if you really put it on there, then it could benefit everybody. And maybe I'm just away from the office for a few hours. So if it's on a general discussion, one of your other colleagues could maybe answer it before myself or Josh or anybody else can get back to it, which is great. So, yep, I think that sort of concludes just a bit of a quick introduction to the whole course. This almost looks like a guy that used to give me, or that originally gave me building law when I was at uni. Hopefully we can try and liven up a bit and make it a bit more interesting. And at the end of the day, it's all about also collaboration. So if you guys can share and make and contribute with ideas or questions or just comments, I mean, we all come from different backgrounds. That will be great. So I think the main, very important for myself, and I think for Josh too, is that there's a good collaboration, and you guys shouldn't ever be scared to ask anything or make a comment, or even just a statement, or give us an example of something that happened in your current situation or in the past. Josh, I'm not sure if you want to you want to say something else?
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Thanks for that. That was for the first time. That was really good. Thanks everybody for your participation as well in the chat window. So, Colin, while you were chatting away, we were chatting behind your back as well. So I'm sure you followed some of it, and some really good comments over there. We are looking forward to all the guest lectures. I'm going to do a few guest sections as well, and yep, we're going to try and do these collaborate sessions every Wednesday at this time, so please make sure that you guys book it out. Something that Colin will still communicate with you guys is when you guys go on holiday, remember this is December coming up, and you need to spend some time with the family and friends and lie on the beach. So there will be a time in December, roughly from about the 20th of December up until the 4th or 5th of January, that we are going to take a quick break. And during that time, of course, if you do study, we won't be able to respond straight away to all the questions. I think, Colin, you covered everything. You spoke about the guest lectures. We spoke about the case studies. We're going to use the case studies to try and get some points across, and we're going to ask Mardi to do a few lectures for us, seeing that she's a lawyer. That always helps a lot, so that makes it easier. And yeah, the National Construction Code, Dale is going to help us out with that one. So yeah, I don't want to say too much else. I think that's a good session. Thanks, Matthew, also for that note of yours. And if you guys don't have any questions, Colin, we might close it for the night. Just before we leave, if you do have questions that come up during the night, just post it onto the question and answers forum, and we'll take it from there. All right, great stuff. So what I'll do is I'll stop the recording now, and we'll end the session shortly.